I now request Professor Parashuraman, Director, to welcome all and present an overview of the Secular Ethics course. Professor Parashuraman.
Very good morning. Respected Your Holiness, Sri Dalai Lama ji, my chairman of the governing board, Ms. Ramdurai, the registrar, Dr. Mohan Kumar, and Dr. Monica Sharma, who has been very integral part of this entire process. Respected vice chancellors, industry leaders, and guests, very warm welcome to this function. Today we are having to inaugurate, to launch the Secular Ethics course. We have been, whenever I met His Holiness in Leh and elsewhere, one of the questions he kept asking me is that, what happened to the idea of compassion in this holy country which invented and practiced it, and it has been integral part of all religion in our nation, and exported to elsewhere in the world. But what has happened to compassion? And that was the reason why we started working on the idea of secular ethics. And it has been a long journey, I must tell you that. We started in 2013 with offering a course on noetic action, touching base with oneself. And from there we grew and reached a situation whereby we are ready to offer this course to my students. We have about 5,000 students, mostly postgraduate and doctoral students. They will be covered in 2017 and 2018, and we will keep offering us a choice-based credit system in the institute, that whereby students from all programs would be able to take it. It's a 4-credit course, 2 credits, 30 hours of teaching and 60 hours of practice. We developed it from the notion of karuna. Karuna is one whereby compassion combined with action. You can't have a compassion without being exhibiting in action, and that's how it has been developed. And we have invited several vice chancellors from across the country, and we'll be working closely with the vice chancellors to see this program is implemented elsewhere in the country, and that's the hope. And we have also invited industry leaders to see that how they can take the idea of compassion to their workplaces and make capital compassionate. Can you make capital compassionate? I think that's the idea. So with these initial words, I thank you all for coming here. I thank His Holiness for coming to this same hall the second time in 4 years. And we thank you and my colleagues who have worked very hard to make this happen. Thank you so much.
May I now request Mr. Ramodorai, Chairperson of the Governing Board, to give the introductory address.
Good morning, everyone. Let me begin by extending a warm welcome to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, members of the TIS Governing Board members, distinguished members in the audience, and of course the TIS faculty and students. Today is a truly momentous occasion as we are all seated here in the presence of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who consented to grace us with his presence on the TIS Mumbai campus. Thank you, Your Holiness, for this kindness as we look forward to learning so much from a man like you today. I once read a very fascinating quote in an article. In order to live your dharma, you will need to be your dharma. In every decision, you will have to weigh the scales of justice, evaluate the moral impact on your department, company, and most of all yourself. Since We are here to launch the secular ethics program as mentioned by the director, Dr. Parasuraman. I just wanted to recall about the Tata Group itself. Having been with the Tata Group for over 4 decades, the word ethics is certainly not new to me. Just to give you a brief glimpse into the history, the codification of ethics in the Tata Group was undertaken in the year 1998 when the Tata Group developed a new Tata Group composite mark in 1998. It was then that Tata Sons, promoter of the Tata Group, decided that should any company wish to use the group composite mark, it would have to sign the brand equity and business promotion agreement, as well as formally adopt and adhere to the Tata Code of Conduct which outlines the ethical conduct in doing business. I think the Tata Code of Conduct was designed to be a living document and not only a collection of clauses as it articulates the organization's values, principles, and the ideals that it wishes to live by. The Tata Code of Conduct provides guidance for living and working inside a Tata business. The code seeks a standard that goes beyond compliance and law and aspires to drive a culture of behavior and business practices that were already in existence in the Tata Group for 130 years since its inception in 1868. The code is a high-level document that provides guidance to its users and does not attempt to be a prescriptive guide to all ethical dilemmas. The many policies that flow from the guidance in a code of conduct, such as a whistleblower policy, prevention of sexual harassment policy, anti-bribery and anti-corruption policy, anti-insider trading policy, etc., provide the guidance needed for implementing the code. By default, a company CEO is also the company's principal ethics officer, a guardian of the ethics function in that company. Companies that have adopted the code are expected to formally file an annual compliance report with Tata Sons where they describe the various activities undertaken and ethics-related statistics. The course on secular ethics is designed to build ethical leaders. By leaders, we mean those who source their compassion to produce an action that changes the world. It's not about religion, and it's for both believers and non-believers. It's everyday leadership in personal, family, and professional spaces that is sourced from a universality where no one is left out. As His Holiness says, happiness is not something ready-made, it comes from your actions. In order for us to live with peace and compassion, we need to be mindful of what we leave behind for our prosperity. If we continue along our present path, the situation could become irreparable. Given today's fast-pacing world, where most seniors or mentors are unable to make the time to speak about ethics and its importance, we are hoping that the small beginnings like these made at TIS will go a long way to encourage more corporates to come forward to adopt ethics as an integral part of their businesses. His Holiness says, if you shift your focus from yourself to others, extend your concern to others, and cultivate the thoughts of caring for the well-being of others, then this will have the immediate effect of opening up your life and helping you to reach out. When business houses can create such a caring environment for self, others, and the planet, we engage in conscious and responsible business practices. This kind of giving stems from a deep sense of gratitude that we offer to people and the environment for nurturing us. In doing so, we are committed to manifesting equity, justice, and inclusion, making sure that no one is left behind. We have surely made humble beginnings with the launch of this course and hope to lead the way in showing others how to live in dignity, where we work to transform unworkable systems and cultural norms in order to solve the problems of ill health, conflict, poverty, and exploitation of people and our planet. I strongly concur with His Holiness that secular ethics is the only way to bring lasting peace, and we at TIS have made a start today. Thank you so much, Your Holiness, and all of you.
We will now have An Introduction to the Secular Ethics course by Dr. Monica Sharma. Dr. Monica Sharma, a Tata Chair Professor and former Director of Leadership and Capacity Building in the United Nations, has been very integral to the Secular Ethics course. Dr. Monica Sharma.
Your Holiness, Mr. Ramadurai, Dr. Parasraman, and respected delegates. The Secular Ethics course is actually an ethical leadership course for students in higher education. It's an investment in future leaders. And when we use the word secular, what we mean is embracing and celebrating diversity. The reason that this course works is because it is built upon the 3 innate attributes that all human beings have, irrespective of social status, class, caste, gender, race. It is that at our core, human beings, neuroscience says, human beings are compassionate. Second, recent surveys show that human beings have an equity impulse. We understand fairness. Even children understand fairness. And third, human beings worldwide, irrespective of where they are born, have a sense of self-worth and self-esteem. Its cultural expressions may be different, but these 3 things, our innate dignity, our equity impulse, and our compassion, are the foundation of this course. Dr. Parasraman invited us to design this course. Us, as in Professor Srilata, Mr. Sudarshan Rodriguez, and I. And we piloted this course with 60 students last year for 2 credits. And the feedback was excellent. So what was unique about this course? I'll just describe 5 aspects of it. First, it is value-based. Every template, every practice, every tool is based on these 3 pillars that you and I have innately in us, no matter how old, how young we are. So it's drawing out our deepest assets. Second, it's results-oriented. It's just not about the theory of change, it's the practice of change. So every student comes with a small initiative to learn how to integrate these tools. I'll give you an example. Some of them came with a book club for well-being, reducing wastage in the dining hall. Some others came with initiatives to establish gender equality, to increase celebrating diversity. So there's a wide spectrum of what they did. But they integrated these tools. The third thing this thing does is it teaches us architectural or design skills. You and I know the way we design anything, whether it's an engineering project, whether it's a social work project, the way we design it, it will deliver results based on that. So this design is unique. It integrates 3 threads of skills, competencies, and inner capacities you and I have as faculty, as CEOs, as students. And these 3 threads are, number 1, our inner self and our inner potential. It is our ability to get in touch with who we really are deeply, what we care about, not what society wants us to say. So this course has that foundation. The second thing it does, it draws upon our pattern mind, our thinking mind, not from an ideological perspective, from a value-based perspective, because you and I are pattern makers. And this is where we embark on a process of creativity, which is different from innovation. Innovation is technology-driven. Creativity is humanity-driven. And this is how we distinguish that space. The third space is we will solve a problem. There is an immediate need to address hunger in the hungry, shelter in the homeless, water for people who don't have water, a nurturing environment for our young. So we will solve problems, shift a pattern or a norm as we do so, and thirdly, we will source our inner capacity to do it. That is what creates equitable and enduring change. I have worked with this for the last 20 years worldwide. In every culture, human beings value compassion, equity, dignity. It works. So I'd like to tell you what students had to say about this, because it's not just what I think, right? So one of them said that the systems are designed by human beings. And it's the first time I realized it's not a big thing out there. It's I have a choice to redesign the system. Another student said, I discovered I could use this framework for designing my fieldwork activities and simultaneously address the gender divide because it's based on values. Another student said, when I use this framework, I'm able to deal with complexity, not in a complicated way, but in a simple but sure way. So what we know, an MIT study shows that leadership development is a $1 billion business. In the US alone, it is a $20 billion business. And there are some 20,000 books written on it. However, it's not producing the equitable change that we wish to see. So what is missing? What's missing is our ability to source ethical values, activate our pattern mind through that, and be able to solve problems. The fourth piece of this secular ethics course is that it's a fractal. So fractal is a physics word, which means it's a pattern that repeats itself. We see that in nature. Nature has so many unique processes that unfolds what we are meant to be. So this work is a fractal of the whole. What does that mean? It means that it doesn't matter whether the initiative is small or large. What matters is, am I sourcing it from ethical values? What matters is, do I have the courage to transform systems that are unworkable? And that's what the students and people worldwide are engaging in. And lastly, as people who are teachers and vice chancellors and deans, we are expected to deal with many disciplines. And each discipline has its own theoretical background. And in a large institution, we do require coherence in the way in which we study and apply what we learn. This framework, the way in which we can source ethical values, becomes the space for coherence, so we call it transdisciplinary. In today's world, our students have to deal with complexity, and they have to deal with multiple disciplines, whether that's related to climate change or poverty or education or health. It's no longer technology alone that drives change, whether it's in the business world or outside. So let me give you just 3 of the 25 exercises that we do. So for example, there's one in which students distinguish who they are, their own identities. And we talk about our wisdom profile, our ethical profile. We talk about our social profile. We talk about our professional profile. We talk about our personality profile. But what the students get is that basically they are about grounding themselves in their wisdom. The largest changes that have happened in civilization have happened through values that are applied universally. So students inquire. There are 3 major pillars of learning. One is inquiry. Not teaching that gets people to comply, but inquiry. The second is generating insights. Insights are different from understanding. Understanding is a cognitive function, but insights are much more than that. They get our own learning, our own frames into the forefront. And so students generate insights, and then they practice. Because this is not about the rhetoric of values, that we talk about values but we do something else. This is about embodying values, where teachers, students, and staff all embody values, the same values. And guess what? The culture changes. The culture within a private corporation changes, because I've worked with some of them. And the culture will change in a university. They will change in a government department. And so it works, you know. Your wisdom, my wisdom, your thinking, my thinking, it works. The second piece that we emphasize is discernment as different from judgment. So discernment is your ability and mine to be able to ground myself in values and be able to view a problem from that perspective, rather than from rigid ideology and rigid polarizing perspectives. So students learn to discern, and they recognize what the space of judgment is. So one of the students said, when I judge someone, I limit myself, while when I'm discerning, I'm giving myself and the other person an alternative to create new alternatives. Discernment happens from my inner potential and values. When I'm discerning, I can review my assumptions. I'm not attached to my point of view. This is huge. This is huge in education. Students learn integrity, not a morality where we point and say, you are wrong. We notice gaps in what we said we would do and what we did, whether we are developing strategies from our values or not. And integrity is being whole. And being whole makes us happy. And so students learn something else. They have changed their relationships at home. They talk about their difference in the way in which they relate to their parents, etc. So as I conclude, I'd just like to talk about business education for a moment. I have not worked in India in a business school, but I have in the US. Based on my experience in the United Nations, I was asked to come in. Why was I asked to come in? Because 170 business schools were stimulated by the European Business Society to be able to look at the curriculum of business graduates today, and in 43 countries. And they found that what's missing largely in development education is missing in business education. They identified 3 factors. 1, context. What they said that business education did not include the social dimensions and the environmental dimensions of change. They're true. There are, like Mr. Ramadurai said, the Tatas have been progressive as a business in ethical view. They were the first in the world to look at maternity benefit, at labor unions, at limited working hours in the 1920s. And today, Tesla, for example, is environmentally conscious, uses renewable energy, has open source technology so that everyone can learn, and we are not always having to have patenting on everything and knowledge, and the diversity of and respect for labor. So it's possible to do that. And they found that this environment and social dimension of business education is vital. They found another thing. They found that the current business schools do not educate their young, future engineers, bankers, etc., to really look at complexity. And they said that the single thing that is the rudder for change is ethical values. That business, when it's grounded in ethical values, is able to deal with complexity differently. And lastly, that it is about connectivity. So TIS is going to offer this course to others, as Dr. Parasuraman said, and we are willing to be able to work with master trainers in different spaces. And I'll end by 2 quotes from the students. So one of them said that the secular ethics course got him or her, I don't know whether it was a lady or a gentleman, to look for the answer that lies within the person. He said that I have to think about the results I wish to accomplish in my life, the patterns I have to change. And with the help of my universal values, I know I will be able to create the environment that ensures justice and dignity for all. If our young could do that, I'm sure all of us, I'm a grandmothers and mothers and fathers and business leaders and vice chancellors can do that too. So we learn from our young, because this work is not about telling them what to do. This work is about co-creating an ethical space for change inside our universities. Another student said, the policies of the school, student bodies, and all of us have to source ourselves from the principles related to human rights and healthy ecosystems. We need to shift the foundation of how we try to achieve results. In this rapidly changing world, the biggest gift we can give ourselves as parents and grandparents of children that we want to be viable and happy, and to our societies, is a rudder and a resilience that will allow us to have a compass for life. That compass is ethical values and leadership. Thank you for listening to me.
We will now have the launch of the course primer by His Holiness. We now request the books to be brought. It's my privilege and honor to request His Holiness to deliver the inaugural lecture of the course. His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama and Nobel Laureate, has been a proponent of secular ethics since decades. He has been supporting this course in TISS. His Holiness.
Okay, no, okay. No. Okay. Oh, yeah. Please. Translator. Okay. One mic. Respected elder brothers and sisters, and the rest of brothers and sisters. I always start to use this word, brothers, sisters. I have some reason. Usually we address according to their sort of rank or their sort of position. Of course, good, but at a fundamental level, we are same human being. So the important is a lot of problem we are facing is secondary level of differences. Different nationality, different race, different family background, and position like that. So that, I think, now we can say, I think enough, a lot of problem. due to too much emphasis on secondary level of differences, even including religious faith. It is really terrible, unthinkable. Different religious faith causing problem and even killing. Unthinkable. Now all these, we are lacking sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. First, we are same human being. Then these differences, secondary level. So secondary level of differences should not causing the suffering of fundamental level of human being, right? Like that. So, I myself also, you see, I always consider myself another human being. So, I feel whenever I meet people, consider another human being, human brother, human sister. And that way of thinking, to me, is really bring the inner strength. And immediately become close friend. More friend, you get benefit. Calm. If you too much emphasis on secondary level of differences, including different religious faith, then we met people of different background. Sometimes we feel a little bit distance. Like that. So therefore, now audience also should consider me as another human being. So we can share common experiences. If you too much emphasis on differences, then sometimes it's difficult to learn each other, like that. So now, I want to express my congratulation. The text as a secular ethics already materialized. And that also not just idea, implement, experience, learned from implementation, these things. So then I may feel a little jealousy. You already achieved. Me, just idea. So I really appreciate. You see, there are years sort of interest, and not only interest, practice, and develop or brought positive result. That brings you firm conviction. On that basis, now you already produce this book. Wonderful. Now the reason we are now talking, the secular ethics. On this planet, I think, firstly, my own sort of experience. I am Buddhist monk, Buddhist practitioner. As soon as I wake up morning, around 3:30, think Buddhist teaching is for entire sentient being. Entire sentient being. This is the infinite altruism we call bodhicitta, combination with wisdom. It's immensely helpful to bring inner peace. with realistic sort of knowledge, like that. So then pray for entire sentient being. And I feel, sometimes I feel it is something like lip service. The sentient being on other planet, we cannot do much, only prayer. Only this planet now. Millions or limitless galaxies, different, there must be different sort of sentient beings, but we have no connection. We cannot do anything. Now only this planet, within these galaxies, our only planet. In this planet, there's millions of different animals, birds, fish, insects. We cannot do anything. When we're passing through some animal, feel strong sense of concern, but nothing can be done. Sometimes tears come, that's all. Now, human being, 7 billion human beings on this planet. We are same human body, human brain, and the same human sort of potential. And therefore, we have the language. Through language, we can communicate. And because we mentally, emotionally, physically same, we can sort of share our own sort of different experience from different people, like that. So therefore, when we pray entire sentient being, and the realistically speaking, only 7 billion human beings. Now here, 7 billion human beings, as I mentioned, emotionally, mentally, physically, same. And the way we're born, same. Way we die, same. And we live as a social animal. Because of that, biologically, as you mentioned, now some scientists say basic human nature is more compassionate. So this is really basis of our hope. If basic nature of human being is anger, then no hope. But since we are a social animal, so physically, biologically, we have the seed of compassion, love. So now, question is, why? Human being, basic nature, more compassionate, but a lot of violence. Not only in human history. In history, in the past, not only continent to continent, but nation to nation, or even within nation, different community, more or less self-sufficient. So at that time, the concept of we and they, quite related with the reality. So destroy of your neighbor who creates some problem you, it's a victory yourself. But now, today's world, the global economy, no national boundary, no religious boundary. And then the global warming, entire humanity now facing. And meantime, population increasing because of medical facility, these things. So natural resources now, there are some indication. Reduced, scarcity, decreasing. So our future, not easy. Under that circumstances, we have to live happily, side by side, with sense of concept of oneness of human being and sense of human brothers, sisters. Now, all major religious tradition, whether theistic religion, non-theistic religion, all carry the same message of love, message of compassion, tolerance, forgiveness, self-discipline. But over 3,000 years, these different religious traditions, you see, not because of that. Some individual, yes, really immense of the benefit or effect. But the masses, religion, religion even sometimes causing differences. And now today's world, in this very moment, we enjoy peaceful. But same planet, same human being, some area now killing in the name of different religious faith. So now, various different religious traditions have same potential to create better human being, more compassionate human being, but frankly speaking, fail. So now other alternative, education. Existing education system, it seems to me, and many educationists and also some scientists, now we have same view. Existing education system, this is more or less from West. I think when the West gradually, last I think 200 years, the industrialization started. Then the education, because of that, education sort of developed, modern education developed. Previously, I think religious church or monastery carrying the, because of the learning center, because of the seat of the learning like that. Gradually, industrialization, then separate institution for education come. So at that time, about moral ethics is concerned, religious institution take care. Now, gradually, now today's world, out of 7 billion, about 1 billion non-believer. And frankly speaking, among the 6 billion believers, there are some mischievous believers also there. When their mind, happy, they looks very religious person. When they really face some problem, then no longer any sort of influence of that religion. They become very strong feeling, we and they, no hesitation to kill other. All these, if we have the system to educate people from kindergarten level up to university level, gradually you see people get this sort of conviction. The value of warm-heartedness is your own sort of selfish reasons. You take care yourself. Physical health very much related with mental health. And real sort of destroyer of our inner peace is anger. Usually we consider anger is part of our mind. No. There are contradictory emotions within our own mind. So, like compassion and anger cannot go together at the same time. Through training, we can use reason, not necessarily meditation, but analyze, including scientific finding now.
what's use? Anger. Firstly, destroy your peace of mind. Then gradually ruin your health. And also peaceful, sort of, because of the friendly atmosphere within your own family, destroy. So therefore, anger is no use, although part of our emotion. But if we use our intelligence properly, our anger, say no use. So the opposite emotion of anger is love, compassion. Biologically, we equip that. Then use scientific findings, our common experience, and common sense. Through education, we can develop conviction or compassionate mind. It's very, very important. Not based on religious belief. Now, last more than 30 years, I have serious discussions with modern scientists. I never discuss with scientists about next life or salvation, nirvana. We simply discuss about system of our emotion and world, galaxies, like that. So basically, cosmology, and then neurobiology, about the brain system of these things. Then physics, particularly quantum physics. Late Raja Ramana, Indian nuclear physicist, one time, he told me, quantum physics in the West, a newly developed sort of theory. In this country, concept of quantum physics developed in this country 2,000 years ago. He found Nagarjuna's writing. The concept already mentioned there. He told me. So my own sort of experience, when we discuss about topic of quantum physics, then seems my knowledge is much higher than scientist knowledge. Because we learn these things. Oh. So then fourth, psychology. Compare ancient Indian psychology, modern psychology looks like kindergarten level. Indian psychology highly developed. Logically, in this country, as I briefly mentioned when we were waiting, in this country, the Sangha philosophy and the Jain philosophy, and then other many different sort of Hindu philosophy and Buddhist philosophy. You see, in our practice include practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana. So in order to practice shamatha and vipassana, see, these are certain sort of way to train our mind. So in order to carry training our mind, we should have better knowledge about the whole system of our mind, our emotion. Therefore, according to ancient Indian tradition, there are a lot of explanation about mind. So now when I discuss with scientists, many scientists are really showing eagerness to learn more about ancient Indian psychology. So then it becomes clear. The ancient Indian knowledge, I think modern Indian, a little bit neglected. You are trying to copy modern education. of course, at practical level, very important for development of the country and development of economy, all these things, modern education and technology, extremely important. But this is not sufficient. We have this body and mind. Body is concerned, material development, very important. Material development provide us physical comfort. Mental comfort, peace of mind, you cannot buy from supermarket. You may be millionaire or billionaire, or you're ready to spend lakhs of money, try to buy peace of mind. If you shout, or supermarket area, I want to buy peace of mind, I think people may laugh. Peace of mind must develop through your own mind, not from outside. So therefore, the question of knowledge, how to tackle these destructive emotions, such as anger, irritation, distrust, these things. So in order to carry meditation, so you have to watch your mind. And then certain sort of mental distortions way. Correct.
Certain like distractions or and mental laxity.
You have to sort of avoid these things in order to use the opposite sort of side. So, tradition where practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana automatically include more explanation, how to train your mind, how to keep peace of mind, calmness of mind. So now, the Indian tradition, you see, these knowledge there. But if you carry this knowledge as a part of your religious practice, then will not cover entire Indian people. Among Indian different religious tradition, actually all major world religious tradition live together in this country. That itself, something really wonderful. I develop conviction or different religious tradition can live together harmoniously, peacefully. As a matter of fact, mutual learning. So, one of my commitment is promotion of religious harmony. Because India, ancient nation, beside homegrown religion, but from outside, the major religious tradition reach here. Now today, all major world religious tradition live together. Occasionally some problems. That's understandable. I usually see expressing over 1 billion Indian, not Bodhisattva. Some mischievous people must be there as a human society. So some problems, that's understandable. But overall picture, I think India is the only nation where all major world religious traditions live together. Wonderful. So, therefore, there are different religious traditions. And also, among the humanity, as I mentioned, about 7 billion human beings, 1 billion non-believer. Then among the believer also, you see, not fully convinced these values. So therefore, we need a secular way of approach about these inner value, not touching religious, or say the quotation or religious belief. Simply based on scientific finding and common sense and common experience. We all, 7 million human beings, come from our mother. We all nurtured by parents' affection, particularly mother's affection. So 7 million human beings, including those troublemakers, they born same way. They received the maximum affection from their parent. Like that. So therefore, you see, we can teach children or generation, next generation, through kindergarten level or to university level. Besides, there are different subjects related with material value. We should include some teaching how to develop peace of mind. So that's aim of secular ethics. So I really very much appreciate you already implement these things, and again, more and more experiences. And 2 cities in America, I can't remember the name. One city called City of Kindness. Another city, Compassion, City of Compassion. So accordingly, they have some program within the city. Result quite significant. They told me, mayor told me, student within this city, much peaceful, ready to help other people. So through education, including some sort of the talks, more talks about inner value, really makes differences. So far, in this country, I think ultimately, a source of karuna, because ahimsa is 1,000-year-old India's tradition. Karuna is has a manifestation of non-violence. Ahimsa is manifestation of karuna. So, in action level, ahimsa. The motivation level, karuna. So India, I think, over 3,000 years using these concepts already developed. So modern India, still, you see, in the public mind, people's mind, ahimsa, still there. And secularism there. So karuna must be there. So, but so far, no city with the name of karuna or kindness. Hopefully, eventually, you see some town or some city or some university, I think I'm looking forward to develop the name of karuna or maitri, like that. So in any way, now already some important institution already starting work realistically, effectively. So thank you very much. Thank you. Then some questions, yeah. We're going to have some questions, question answer. Oh yes. Oh. Now I go there.
Mr. Ramadurai will now felicitate His Holiness. Dr. Mohan Kumar will present a memento to His Holiness. A word about this memento, comprising a stationery box and a notebook, is handcrafted by women under trials in the prison in Mumbai and Pune. It is supported by Alive, a vocational training and therapy project. We will now throw open the house for some question and answers. As I said, the first segment is meant for all invitees. Kindly ask for the slips of paper and write your questions in capital letters. Please restrict the questions to the topic of this program, secular ethics. Yeah. Please mention your name as you write and the organization to which you belong. Okay. So the first question, yes, Srilata, please go ahead.
Yes?
Yeah.
Particularly in today's world, the question was raised by Penelope Tong, TISS.
Karsa. What? I think that's very, very sort of relevant. I always feel the ancient Indian sort of knowledge about emotion is not only ancient one, but very, very relevant to today's world. Because without knowing the system of our emotion, then it's difficult to tackle fear, distrust, irritation, then anger. So therefore, now today's, I always telling people, the 7 billion human beings, as I mentioned earlier, when we're born, same way, and we're nurtured by affection. Even an angry person, he or she need loves. Only affection, love, reduce their anger. Anger never reduced by another anger. Violence never reduced by through violence. Now today, there are, this is truly fear of violence. Yeah, I think comparatively India better, I think. In Europe, in America, and of course, Arab world, a lot of violence. And so-called terrorist, I think Islam terrorist. That's wrong. I often use expressing the Muslim terrorist. Terrorist is terrorist. Once people indulge terrorism, no longer Islam, no longer genuine Muslim. Like a few years ago in Burma, some Buddhist monk, you see, a negative attitude towards Muslim. So one occasion, Time magazine, one picture of one Buddhist monk of Burma, this is described Buddhist terrorist. That is, so of course I'm Buddhist. When I saw the Buddhist terrorist, I feel uncomfortable. So similarly, millions of Muslims now say Muslim terrorist. genuine Islam practitioner. Through our meeting, through our talks, I learned genuine Muslim practitioner should not create any bloodshed. As soon as you create bloodshed, you no longer genuine Islam practitioner. And then reason, quite simple. You see, Islam practitioner, you see, must extend love, affection towards all creature of Allah. Wonderful, wonderful. So religious belief, if truly believe, then those theistic religion, according to theistic religion, we all created by God. This very life, no previous life, this very life created by God. So God, almost like our Father. So we 7 billion human beings, according to theistic religion, 7 billion human beings are children of God. And God, our Father, what kind of God? Infinite love. So we all children of Father, because of infinite love, like that. So wonderful, wonderful. Then now newspaper, many cases you mentioned jihad. Jihad, according to our Muslim friend, jihad means combat your own internal emotion, not hitting. So there were some Chinese officials used to describe me as a Buddhist terrorist. So you too sit closely with this terrorist. may hurt you. So I often you see sort of expressing in Europe or America, the wording Muslim terrorist is wrong. That some impact gives impression. Impact in Muslim brothers sisters. If other people consider you something negative, then automatically they are also then acting like they go the similar way. Other people respect Muslim brothers sisters and make separation, terrorist and Muslim, genuine Muslim practitioner. And our hand must reach out to Muslim brothers sisters. Then gradually, those Muslim brothers sisters who really sort of some kind of, because of the raw emotion, gradually can reduce. So in this respect, Indian Muslim brothers sisters, I think, can make significant sort of, because of the contribution regarding cool down their anger, I really feel. So sometimes, quite often, I suggested some Muslim brothers, sisters, say, India, now here, almost, you see, no hurt, you see, rift between Shia and Sunni. Wonderful. And then Muslim, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist. Recently I was in Ladakh. Wonderful. Buddhist community, Muslim community, wonderful. I still emphasize them because some sort of incidents. So I mentioned, firstly, we should have sense of community. Religion is individual matter. So in this country, India, I think sense of community live together like that. So Indian Muslim, I think, can make some sort of contribution regarding cool down these, because of the Muslim, little bit narrow-minded. That also makes the differences of the environment. Indian Muslim, relation with other tradition, very cordial. And in Malaysia, because large number of Chinese there, most of these Chinese are Buddhist, and large number of Indian, Hindus. So therefore Muslim in Malaysia, more open mind. And Indonesia also some extent. 1,000 years ago, in Java area, these are Buddhists, because the Buddhist community, like that. So old Buddhist relics there. So those Muslims, in their mind, closer with other tradition. Whereas Arab, isolated. At Jordan, I have been in Jordan, the Muslim in Jordan, because of education, wider contact with the outside world, their way of thinking, much more normal. Then those Muslims completely isolated, difficult. So only thing, some European countries and America also, try to combat with force. Totally wrong. So we must consider them human brothers, sisters, and reach out. That's the only way. So, next question.
What is your opinion about women's role in peacemaking and peace building? By Professor Patel at TISS.
Women's role, peace. I have sort of view several thousand years ago, human community, very small community. So no concept of leadership. All work together, whatever they got, share together. Then gradually human population increased and farming system started. And then the question of mind. So stealing or bully, these things happen. So concept of leadership developed. So at that time, no rule of education. So leadership, very much, in order to become leadership, very much related with physical strength. So male dominance. Yesterday, also religious leaders, different religious university, Kasota leaders come together. So I jokingly mentioned, only brother, no sister. Now here, sister here. So they, then gradually, you see the concept of or tradition or habit of male dominance come. Then gradually education develop. Education brings more equal. And in modern time, many significant leaders are female. So education brings equal. Still, the male dominance there. And among the religious sort of community, also some male dominance there. Now time come, as we already working, promotion of human compassion, promotion of human love. In that field, female, biologically more sensitive are the suffering. Now that also on scientific finding. 2 persons, one male, one female, watching one picture, one person passing through painful experience. You see, one male, one female. The female physically more sensitive when seeing painful experience. So, now time come, we male withdraw and let female should take more, more active role, and we remain behind. control of our female friend from behind. So I really feel now time come, female should take more active role. Now already in education field, many teachers female, and the nurses, many doctors are female. Now we should take more active role. Then I think in this country, sometimes a little discrimination, female, because certain sort of habit, dowry somewhere, dowry or some other person whose husband passed away, they're not allowed to remarry or something like that. So these, I think, part of Indian tradition, and then caste system, or part of your sort of tradition. But these things very much related with feudal system and lead upper class. They justify to rule lower caste people. So they develop certain sort of tradition or certain idea. That's due to, I think, influence of feudal system. Feudal system gone. We have to make change. I always have the view, and also accordingly telling people, any religion, three aspects. One aspect is dharma, religion. Same, as I mentioned earlier, all carry message of love, message of forgiveness, tolerance, same. Then the second aspect is philosophy or concept. There are differences. Some say there is creator, some say no creator. So big differences. Even within non-theistic religion, Sangha philosophy, Jain philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, all non-theistic religion, but there is differences, concept of Atma and Anatma. So in philosophy, and within Buddhism, there are mainly four school of thought. Vibhashik school of thought, Kasaini, Sudantic school of thought, Chittamantra school of thought, Madhyamika school of thought, and each one have subdivisions. So a lot of differences. So these differences actually come from same source, Buddha Shakyamuni. So sometimes I jokingly was telling people, Buddha one day taught something, another occasion taught something. That does not mean Buddha's own mind confused. Certainly not. Buddha enlightened. So, nor he deliberately tried to create more confusion among his followers. No. Then answer is, he taught as an individual or different people according to their own mental disposition. So, to some people, certain philosophical views are more suitable. To some people, different sort of, because of the philosophical views are more suitable. So therefore, there are many different philosophical views. So that's no problem. So long, same goal. Or the aim is promotion of love. So no problem. Some people say, there is God, creator, infinite love, very powerful to follow practice of love. And non-theistic religion, everything, then non-theistic religion, there's no beginning of life, life after life. So all these due to karma, one's own karma. Karma is one's own creation. So bad karma also, you see, brings more more suffering. Good karma brings more happiness. So everybody loves, or love because of love, self-aware, having concern one's own sort of future. So therefore, restrain harming others, helping other people. That's good karma. Restrain harming, that's bad karma. So your own master. So that way of approach also is very good to some people. So different philosophy, different way of approach, same goal, no problem. Then third aspect of religion is some tradition. Even Tibet case, for example, Dalai Lama institution. First Dalai Lama, a wonderful teacher, learned one. So his second Dalai Lama come because of clear evidence. The second Dalai Lama at the young age showing, express clear memory about past life. So then gradually, of course, the Karmapa, even before their reincarnation of Karmapa institution, then Dalai Lama institution come. Like that, first Dalai Lama, second Dalai Lama, third, fourth, fifth. Then fifth Dalai Lama, then because of certain circumstances, then become head of both temporal and spirituality. So now me, suppose the 14th Dalai Lama, since my childhood, I found our system is backward. Too much power in individual person's hand. So as soon as I took the temporary responsibility, within 2-3 years, I start reform committee to change, but not very successful. And then 1954, went to Peking. 1956, came to India, Buddha Jayanti celebration. Then 59, come to India as political asylum. Then at once, we start work for democratization. Then 2001, we already achieved elected political leadership. Since then, my position is semi-retired position. Then 2011, I totally retired. So because I feel the Dalai Lama institution automatically, since 5th Dalai Lama institution automatically become head of both temporal and spirituality, some sort of traces of feudal system. So must change. So not only myself retired, but also the 4th century old tradition, the Dalai Lama automatically become head of both temporal and spirituality. Now that officially, formally, proudly, happily ceased. Now no longer. Even if Dalai Lama institution remain, or 15 Dalai Lama come, no significance about political matter. But the Chinese government seems they still believe the Dalai Lama is the real, Dalai Lama have real authority of Tibet. So the 15 Dalai Lama, they really showing serious interest. I have no interest. Like that. So therefore, certain now the India, unfortunately, the low caste, untouchable or something, Dalit survey, Dalits. So these, I think, part of your tradition. But now time come, change through awareness. Now even you believe, say, we all created by Brahma, or So same source. I think four-face Brahma. This is not very significant. All come from the same source. If you go very detailed, then children of one parent, and I said the early part of the parent, children come from early part of parent, and then later, I think we have to make discrimination. That's silly. So same parent. So similarly, even God, Creator, believe all different sort of different caste, all come from the same source. So we should not make distinction. These, I think, ruling class justify their sort of exploitation to lower class. So they create such kind of also the concept. So time come, must change. Next question.
How concerned
My answer too long. So that's my weakness. Once I open my mouth, always blah, 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 go like that. Yes?
How concerned should corporate leaders be about growing levels of income inequality in their companies and in society at large? From Mr. Mukund Rajan Tata.
Basically, I think the gap, rich and poor, this is a very serious matter. We must reduce rich and poor on first global level, then second national level. I think in order to change global level, I think national level, this gap must reduce. So, the poorer section of people, I think firstly, the people, richer society, must give them self-confidence. When I met some people within the country, some low caste, they have the feeling a little bit sort of inferior. This must change. And one occasion in Africa, Soweto, I visited one family, black African family, and we discussed. I told them, now you already achieved a democratic constitution, wonderful. But emotionally, sort of, as they become equal with white people, may take time, but you must make effort. Then one black person is who introduced us as a teacher. When I mentioned that, he responded me, no, we black African brain more inferior. That's inferior. I shocked. Then I make sort of a lot of effort to say no. Firstly, we go to brain specialist. They will say no differences. And then also I explain, we Tibetan, some hardliner, Han person, hardliner, they create impression we Tibetan lower, Han more advanced or higher. So we prove, only question of opportunity. When we come to India as a refugee and have the new opportunity, education field or many fields, we can be equal. I mentioned these things. Then eventually that black person with long sigh, he then whispered to me, now he convinced we are same. So at that moment, I really feel tremendous sort of relief. Now at least one African black brother's mental attitude now change. So they, firstly, within the country, the low-casting, poor people must sort of educate. We are equal. Must develop self-confidence. Then upper class, who have better sort of situation, provide them every facility of education, then training. One occasion from Bombay, of course, from here, you see, came to see me at Dharamsala. Looks wealthy family. They asked me blessing. Then I told them, I have nothing. Give you in form, because of the form of blessing, nothing. It seems you have the source of blessing from your money. At least some portion of your profit. Use facility for education. In Bombay, a lot of slums, poor people. So provide their children's education facility. Then meantime, health. So like that. So one occasion in Bombay, I met some young student. You see, they come to see me and ask me, they want to do something according to my wish. Then I told them, oh, your own area, some poor families' children without education facility. You should create a small organization for education. Then one person do your own area where some slum people there, and the other one your own area. So that's my wish. So like that. So all level. We should not say, oh, government take care, government take care. No. We each individual, whatever way, we can help these poor people, mainly through education. Few occasions in Delhi, I express the marriage. One day, when I passing through Delhi, some area, so some some structures. I thought maybe some religious function or something. I asked the driver, what is these things? For marriage. So then, few occasions later, I express, oh, marriage, important. You see, instead of spend a lot of money for a big function, instead of that, you see, use or buy more fruit, more bread, and at least it's a few trucks that day of marriage, you see, visit the Delhi, different area, those street children, give them some sweet, give them some fruit and bread. Then I think these poor people, you see, may pray more marriage. Because you see, that gives them opportunity to get some fruit or like that. Otherwise, you see, make some big tent or something. Waste of money. Like that. So a few occasions I mentioned like that. I think nobody implement that. While I talking, yes, they do that. Then afterward, nothing. So like that. So I think in order to reduce this gap, I think both sides have the responsibility. As I mentioned, African native people, and here also, you see, give them and then research site provide facility for them. And then corruption. Government spends a lot of money, but when the amount of money reach poor people, I think a few rupees. So these, I think, education, moral ethics, eventually can make some effect. So these are long run program. I think India, on the basis of your rich tradition, long history, I often is telling people, India, only this country can combine modern education, modern facility, plus ancient your knowledge about peace of mind. Combine these two things. Then physically more comfortable, more facility come with the help of modern education, modern technology, and meantime can keep peace of mind. Like Japan, materially highly developed, technology highly developed, but suicide rate quite high. Lack of much sort of sense of competition. And I think the society, maybe, although Japanese also is a very, very cultured people, and ancient their religion, Shintoism, respect nature, wonderful, but too much sense of competition, like that, because the religion, mainly Buddhism, Japan as a Buddhist country, but religion or Buddhism remain like ceremonial way, not much study. So Buddhism, as I mentioned earlier, all Indian tradition is transforming our emotion. So that brings peace of mind, and particularly when we're facing some difficulties, some tragedy, if your mental attitude develop right way and you use combination, warm-heartedness bring self-confidence, and intelligence brings wider perspective. Look, can see problem from all different angles. Otherwise, you see, again, one of my friend, one scientist, you see, he mentioned to me, people who have some sort of restlessness due to anger, he treated such person, I think, last few decades. And his conclusion is, when angry person see the person, mainly a person to whom the person feel angry, appears very negative. But actually, 90% of that negativeness is mental projection. This is exactly Nagarjuna mentioned. And Madhyamika Mulakarika, he mentioned that. So, the mental exaggeration come. You consider things exist objectively. Now, quantum physics, people who believe quantum physics, nothing externally, objectively exists, but mental projection. Recently, I saw one article wrote by one Chinese quantum physicist. You see, he mentioned the scientist who totally believe quantum physics, nothing exists objectively, external. So such a scientist in their mind, they contrast black and white much less. Like that. So therefore, I think in this country, I think a lot of sort of explanation about our mind. Now, point is, should not consider these are part of religious practice. Religious thing is individual business. But science of mind, I wanted to tell you that eventually, I think some explanation about the whole system of our emotion. And then logic is considered as an academic subject. These subjects mentioned in religious text, including Buddhist text, but itself should consider academic subject. Sometimes I describe, in education, we learning the hygiene of physical. So now similarly, we should include hygiene of emotion. So to explain more knowledge about the whole system of our emotion. So now here, the Buddhist students, at least I think in Karnataka state, about 10,000 monk students and a few thousand nuns. They carry, study 20, 30, at least 20 years. So they have sufficient knowledge. So I'm willing, in order to revival of ancient Indian tradition in modern India, I believe, I feel it is our duty or responsibility as a chela of ancient Indian guru. I often telling, we not only chela, but also reliable, trusted chela. So over 1,000 years, we kept all these Nalanda master sort of knowledge intact. So now I realize this knowledge, now time come to pay back to give, to return our guru, so that the Indian once more become our guru. Otherwise, modern Indian, not our guru.
This is the end of the first segment. The next segment of the press begins. May I request the press to please stand and ask your question.
Kasa? Oh. Yes?
So this is Mohua from the Times of India. What I wanted to ask you is, given the troubles brewing at our borders right now, be it the Indo-Pakistan conflicts or tensions in the Bhutan, China, India, what kind of secular approach could cultivate more peaceful relations between these neighboring countries? And what do you think, how do you think these could be resolved right now?
The other day in Delhi, also this question, same question come. I mentioned neither India or China, no ability to defeat other one. Create some problems here and there. Otherwise, you cannot sort of defeat other one. China, very powerful, even militarily, very, very powerful. But India also, over 1 billion population, and militarily also. When Rajiv Gandhi there, once he told me, since Sino-Indian conflict, 62. Oh.
62.
Oh. So he mentioned to me, you see a lot of sort of improvement, Indian side, he told me once. So I think a little, some sort of, including firing, may take, okay, doesn't matter. So basically, China and India have to live side by side. Then, previously, Tibet, like Baba state, but that changed since 1951. 17-point agreement between central Chinese government and Tibetan local government. So since then, you see, things changed. But China itself now changing. Firstly, around 400 million Buddhist population of China. Now, People's Republic of China, communist country, become biggest number of Buddhist population. So I don't think, eventually, I think that both sides, I think, have to keep in their mind, eventually should reach Hindi Chini bye-bye. With mutual trust, not just on paper, but culturally. Large number of these Buddhists in China, actually students of ancient Indian knowledge, and particularly Nalanda tradition, Sanskrit tradition. All those Chinese Buddhist follower of Nalanda tradition. So I have some sort of suggestion. From time to time, I mention to concerned officials, Indian government, the India, you see, should create one sort of special arrangement, Chinese Buddhist pilgrim survey. You see, Bodh Gaya, Rajagiri, Sanchi, and so on. So you see, let thousands Chinese Buddhists, let them come to India and with certain facility. Should them feel visit to India, pilgrimage to India, very easy. Then these millions of Chinese Buddhists emotionally come closer to this country. Like that. Next question.
This is Yogesh from Doordarshan. So can I know what is the definition of secularism in Indian context?
Louder, please.
What is the definition of secularism in Indian context?
Karsa. Secular, some my Indian friend told me, according to Indian understanding, secular is respect all religions and then also respect non-believer. That is something very unique and something very special. So I think very much the concept of consider believer or non-believer as a human brothers, sisters. So religion is more or less related with individual. But as an Indian, you must respect all religion and including non-believer. India's constitution itself based on secularism. Okay. In the West, secular, sometimes they consider secular means disrespect religion. I think during French Revolution and the Bolshevik Revolution, there are some tendency against religion. But that, I think, reality, you see, nobody against religion. Real meaning of religion is love. Even animals appreciate. But religious institution in French Revolution and Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, the religious institution very much sort of supportive about existing feudal system, or including rajas or queens or kings. So therefore, the revolution to against or to topple is in that old system, feudal system. Since they received sort of maximum support from religious institution, so automatically they also develop some kind of tendency to against religious institution. I think many, frankly speaking, including Dalai Lama institution, sometimes I think becoming the instrument for exploitation. 1979, my first visit Mongolia, then still Mongolia, communist, and through via Moscow and Soviet Union. In Mongolia, one museum. In the museum, you see one painting, paintings were remote church. One painting, one monk, huge mouth, and people go inside. So when I reach, you see, so that place, the Mongolian officials, a little bit sort of hesitant. Then I told them, oh, this is true. Religious institution, sometimes you see, exploiter of people's common people. So I mentioned. So there are some kind of sort of the tendency, religious institution sometimes become exploiter and supporting feudal system. So it is worthwhile to challenge. As far as socio-economy theory is concerned, I'm Marxist. What do you think? Dangerous person. One time, see, many years ago, I met one Indian communist, one Indian communist. You see, I asked him, do you respect religion or not? His answer is wonderful. As a Communist Party member, we are serving to people. People, Indian people, very much religious minded. So we, Indian Communist Party member, must respect religion. That's very good answer, isn't it? Like that. And also I have sort of some occasion meeting with late Jyoti Basu, a communist. But I was told his private life looks like bourgeois, not a genuine communist.
So I have two short questions.
Yes.
One is holistic development through holistic education and holistic healing. What is your opinion on that? That's number one. Number two, what do you think of trusteeship principle, Gandhian trusteeship principle for modern industry and business? And my third observation is, I have to give to your book, World Without War. My name is Dr. Leo Rebello.
3 questions. First, holistic education, I think education about is the well-being of physical and well-being of mind. That's more holistic education. Okay. Now, holistic hasachoti. Healing. That also, I think, important. The allopathic medicine, mainly taking care body. In Tibetan medical system, actually, 8th century, some kind of semi-international medical conference took place in Lhasa under the Lhasa auspices of great Tibetan Emperor Trisung Tizhen. So the participant from Chinese tradition, Indian Ayurvedic tradition, the Unani tradition, and then including local Tibetan tradition. So since then, Tibetan medical system is combination of these three traditions. So including taking care about we call inner vayu, inner air. Now these days it happened. Some people mentally, some disturbed, we call due to inner air. But when visit allopathic sort of allopathic sort of hospital, they say nothing wrong, but a person much disturbed emotion. So the Tibetan tradition and also India's the Ayurvedic tradition, through pulse they can predict your sort of not only today's condition, but also they can recall, you may experience in the past such things. And also they roughly can predict future, roughly. If doctor is truly qualified, but some doctor show, but actual knowledge is limited. Like some other professions also, you see. So that's, I feel, holistic. Not only taking care of this body, but also taking care about our emotion. I feel that's more holistic. Kasota, medication, right? And third, that's very good. I'm socialist. You see, firstly, you have to sort of utilize the capitalist sort of experience, making more money. Then the socialist sort of system, stagnation, former Soviet Union, as well as China, until Deng Xiaoping changed. So Chinese economy not much sort of developed. Then Deng Xiaoping then adopted the market-oriented policy regarding economy. So much changed. So now lack of moral principle, immense corruption in China. Unthinkable. Socialist country, lot of corruptions. Unthinkable, isn't it? Also India, I think religious nation, corruption, big contradiction. So sometimes I sort of jokingly telling some of my Indian friends, you see, every family, generally speaking, every family, you see, pray to God morning with incense, some flower. And the prayer looks like, oh, my corrupted life should be successful. Okay. So, the press, media people, in democratic country, democratic society, media people have very, very important role. So now you should not sort of consider yourself just to give information, but also should, I think, the proper way, if you feel okay, then in the form of article or something, to inform people these moral ethics or the secular education, these things, you have important role to educate people. Okay. Besides sensational, some raps, some murders, or these things. Oh, otherwise the people may not look your paper. As some of these sensational things happen, they will look. So beside that, you see, you also should take care, should take responsibility to educate people about holistic thing and including secular ethics for their own well-being. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, His Holiness, for enlightening us. May I now request everyone to please rise for the national anthem.
जन मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Please take your seats and remain seated as His Holiness leaves the auditorium. Thank you. Please remain seated.